Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this orientation. We have with us today, we are very honored to have the BLGF Region 7 Regional Director who will give us a message of encouragement, Director Jesse Doctolero. After 18 years of vacancy, the BLGF welcomes the appointment of Mr. Jesse B. Doctolero as Director 2 of the BLGF Regional Office, Region 7, starting his career as a Revenue Officer of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Revenue District Office number 70, Director from 2000 to 2012. Director Doctolero moved to the local government sector and became a provincial assessor of the province of Masbate from 2012 until he joined the BLGF. Director Doctolero is a licensed real estate appraiser, real estate broker, and real estate consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Director Jesse B. Doctolero.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pleasant morning to each one, particularly the principals of Rameses System Company, and of course to our participants to this orientation seminar on electronic payment and collection system. So I guess everybody knows that this orientation is sponsored by the Rameses System Company. So we all know that Rameses is providing software program for LGUs, okay, particularly for business processing and real property administration. So just to make it clear that the BLGF is not in any way directly part of this company or associated, but we find it very, very helpful to our LGUs. That's why we are encouraging the user, particularly those who are already a user of the Rameses software, because I understand this electronic payment and collection system is another module. It's only another module. Okay, so of course, all other software development, as soon as it will, we find it helpful to our LGUs, we might as well also endorse to the LGUs. Okay, so as we all know that as part of the local government, we have to introduce innovative thinking. Okay, so why do we need to innovate? Okay, aside from the fact that we are in the current COVID-19 pandemic, which has drastically changed the mindset of most people to adopt digital payment systems. Okay, so consumers now have started switching to digital platforms, especially for electronic payment and collection system. So which has gained traction and preference as a convenient and safe alternative to traditional mode of payment transactions. So let us learn for today's orientation how viable is the software of Rameses in terms of the electronic payment and collection system, if it is applicable to your LGUs, okay, particularly in your tax collection and payment schemes, most especially in this time of pandemic. Okay, know more about the policies and initiatives that this company is undertaking to promote payment digitization, especially on electronic payment and collection system. Okay, so let us learn to know the current trend. Okay, what E-TRACS has to offer, because I understand this is another module on the present software development, okay, introduced to some of our LGUs. Okay, so I would just like to make story now for us in the LGUs. We have to prepare ourselves to brace for change. Okay, so I would just like to share a story to you regarding the story of the Nokia. Okay, so we all know, for those mga 90s, mga 1990s na mga teenagers. Okay, So during 1990s, Nokia was the leader in terms of cell phone brand. Okay? So if you, during 1990s, pag meron kang Nokia, so you are in. Okay? So Nokia, one of its employees, the Nokia, if you recall, Nokia used analog system, okay? Analog system of telecommunication. So one of its employees discovered that there is there is a better way of communicating through digital. Okay, so this particular employee of the Nokia tried to introduce the change, the innovation that he has in mind. But to the Nokia management or to the Nokia principals, okay, yung top management, just ignore the idea of that person. Okay? Sabi ng mga top management, why will we don't need that. Okay? We don't need that innovation because we are already number one on our brand. Okay? So kami na yung number one ngayon producer of cell phone. Okay? We are, so bakit pa kami mag-innovate? Okay? So ultimately, yung innovation supposedly created by the employee, okay? The employee of that company or Nokia company was introduced to another company. Okay? So meaning that that company buy the idea of that person, and now we are enjoying the privilege of that innovation, which is the digitized telecommunication. So in other words, hindi kinuha ni Nokia hindi binay out ni Nokia yung idea, and that's why after a year or two, the Nokia suffered great loss. And in fact, if you notice, wala na po tayong nakikita sa market na Nokia na cellphone. So yun. When the CEO of the Nokia was interviewed by a television show, he was asked, "Sir, what happened to Nokia? Okay? What happened to Nokia?" So sabi, ang explanation lang naman ng management sa Nokia, we didn't do wrong. Okay? We have paid religiously our tax. We have paid our employees very well. We treat our employee as if our family. Okay? Yet we fail. We fail. My dear colleague in the local government unit, the moral lesson of the story, no matter how good you are, no matter how already on your top, but if you will not innovate yourself, then definitely someone will have a better idea than you have. Okay? So meaning that the moral lesson of the story, we have to be open of the changes, particularly at this time as of this time. So if you find that the innovation that this Rameses company is really applicable to your LGU, just look at the three parameters para you will be guided. Number one, if the software that being introduced by Rameses is desirable, I think it's really desirable because everybody really wants now to have easy access of the payment and collection system. Or second question that you will ask, will it be feasible for our LGUs? May capability ba yung LGUs to buy for that software? Okay? Or are your LGU back is feasible to host for the program? So that is the second question. Okay? And final question you should ask after the orientation is, will it be viable for your LGU? Or how it will be sustained by your LGU? Baka naman sa simula lang ito, baka after mawala na si Rameses, wala nang continuity of program. So yung mga questions na yun ang dapat you should have in mind and you should ask to the software developer. Okay? Remember, what used to be an innovation is now the new normal. With the advent of pandemic, yung innovation lang dati, ngayon, ito na yung new normal natin. So, baka naman yung iba, may mga reservations pa, baka sabihin, baka naman, ano ba yung basis natin pag gagawin itong electronic payment and collection system? Kasi sabi ng local government code that collection of taxes should not be left to a private person. Okay? Baka naman, please let me know. I would like to let you know that we also have basis for this. We have the DTI and UF Joint Administrative Order number 02, wherein it is the implementing guidelines on the electronic payment and collection system in the government. Meron din tayong joint department order which authorizes the use of access device for electronic payments. Likewise, may monetary board opinion din tayo regarding the guidelines for use of e-money. Okay? And of course, ito yung pinaka-importante, the COA Memorandum Circular 2013-007, the guidelines for the issuance of electronic OR. Okay? Ito yung mas maganda. You will not be using the typical OR, the accountable forms that you have. Okay, so you can, if you will be following COA Circular number 2013-007, so you will be guided at the authorized digital issuance of electronic OR. Likewise, this is also the mandate of ARTA, wherein they encourage no contact policy for our taxpayers. And if we look forward, meron na ding nakabinbin na bill in Congress wherein adapting for electronic payment, mandating the electronic payment and collection system in the government. Okay? Likewise, meron din Senate version for that under Senate version 1764. So hopefully, baka yung electronic payment and collection system will become a law before the term of President Duterte ends. Okay. So kaya lang, baka naman ito lang yung pwede yung mga challenges that you might be confronted once you implement this electronic payments and collection system. But since alam na natin from the very start na ito yung mga challenges na we can face. Okay? So ano na natin? Labanan na natin. Number one, if you will be using GCash or PayMaya, I understand meron silang topic mamaya, pwede nyo nang itanong para at least you will really be convinced, and by the time that you will be convinced, you have also the nerve to convince your LCEs. Alright? So pag GCash, sabi nila, limited lang to up to 100,000. So yun ang issue. So you can ask PayMaya or GCash if they can extend up to how much. Okay? So what about the taxpayer will pay 100,000 more? Okay. What about the meron ding issue on convenience fee. So sabi nila may pay gate daw na 20 pesos yung charge for every payment. So you try to ask whether the Land Bank of the Philippines, the Robinsons Bank, and the RCBC are charging 20 pesos for every transaction. So I just don't know and confirm that with your speakers this afternoon. Likewise, if you are using your prepaid, debit, and credit card, nagko-collecta din sila in percentage amount as a service fee depending on the amount due to the LGU as a means of tinatawag na convenience fee. So Land Bank is charging at 2%, DBP is charging 7%, and so on and so forth. So just try to look at those areas so that you can also ask questions to your speakers later on. Okay, likewise yung LBP account owners, if you are using the payment system of the Land Bank, require ng Land Bank na yung taxpayers ninyo are also account holder of that particular bank. And we all know that there are taxpayers of us that do not have account in Land Bank. So yung mga issues na yun, you can raise that up kung ano yung ano. So looking forward, make this automation work first, okay? To your top 20 business owners siguro para you try to check if your LGU is really capable. Baka naman yung LGU mo walang internet facility and so on and so forth. Walang kuryente. So those items that you should check. Okay? And but since pandemic ngayon, pwede nyo na din i-mandate yung process payment online na din. Alright? So with that in mind, I know the Rameses system company is really preparing for this to convince you, and we in the BLGF is also with the Rameses to help the LGU in digitization on or in implementing the electronic system, electronic payment and collection system. So with that, thank you so much, and I hope that everyone, we in the BLGF, we have really encouraged our local governments to at least be involved or be compliant with the electronic payment and collection system. So again, thank you so much, and God bless everyone. Thank you, Rameses.
Thank you so much, Director Dr. Lero. I guess the key word here is innovate. We need to change the mindset of our local government unit partners. So with this, I would like to give the virtual floor to Mr. Elmo Nazareno, the president of Rameses Systems Inc., who will give introduce to you the e-payment facility, as well as a brief history of E-TRACS.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. To Director Jesse Tolero of BLGF 7, to our partners in the financial sector, we have Land Bank, DBP, GCash, and Paymaya. To our partner LGUs, guests, good morning. So the original intention of this orientation is actually meant for E-TRACS members. Like I've said to Director Tolero, this orientation is not meant actually to promote E-TRACS, but more of to promote e-payment. So for as I've seen in our registration, we have seen that there are some of you who are not using E-TRACS. So let this orientation, maybe you can learn something for regarding our experience on how we were able to implement this. So for you, for the benefit of everybody, I'll talk a little about our company and about E-TRACS to put you within context of this orientation. So let me reintroduce myself. I am Elmo Nazareno. Our company is Rameses Systems Inc. We are a software company based in Cebu City. We started our work with the local governments in the 2000s with a project called TRACS. So this was funded by Australian Aid or AusAid. We were contracted by them to develop the system, and it was used for 5 cities, namely Jensan, Puerto Princesa, Tagbilaran, Bacolod City, and Iligan City. However, after the fund ended, the project was turned over to the government, and that was it. However, we were still contacted by the LGUs to fix some issues at no cost already, which was a little unfair to us because we weren't getting paid for the work. And you know, it's very difficult sometimes to work with local governments regarding their procurement process. So anyway, that was also our fault because we were too accommodating. However, the development was, we understand that the time to develop was very limited. That's why the project was not that good. However, because there was no funding, we told them we cannot continue to work on it anymore. However, around 2006, we were given a heads up from our contacts from the grant to roll out E-TRACS to the other LGUs as component of their program. Still an AusAid grant, no? But this time we learned from our past experience. So we recoded the system in another platform, more open source platform. we named it E-TRACS and we license it. So we have the copyright of the system, no? So in the Intellectual Property Office. So this time, Australian Aid or the AusAid will not pay for the development anymore. They just contract us for the trainings, consultancy, and implementation services. And in return, we give the software for free and distributable by the LGU recipients. So whoever wants it, it can be distributed. However, after the fund ends, the LGU will have an option to sign up with us for the sustainability. So for an annual fee, so we can continue to update the system. So at present, this is our business model. In the beginning, we just wanted to serve our LGU. In the beginning, we just wanted to serve our LGU grant recipients, no? However, there were other LGUs who heard about us and wanted to know how to acquire the system. That's why we allowed other LGUs to apply membership directly from us. Since the system is not for sale, those who want to use the free version can get it from LGU members who are willing to share it. So at the moment, the software is not downloadable. That is our policy right now. Besides annual membership, our income usually comes from trainings, implementations. So we propose to the LGU for a implementation package. We also have premium services, and we also sell some plugins, to name a few. As of the moment, we have about 135 members with a few of their applications still pending. Now, we also focus on technology transfer. So we conduct trainings for your IT so you can manage the system yourself and how to expand it. We don't want our clients to be totally reliant on us. We want to focus on development. With that said, this is our vision. So we envision a better Philippines run by a smart, connected government, providing accessible services to make our lives easier. So to handle this vision, we have two products. One is E-TRACS, which is the system to be used in the LGUs. And we have the Filipizen, which is our cloud-based, specifically for citizens. So I'll talk a little first about E-TRACS. The E-TRACS system is composed of 3 modules. For the free version, they have the real property, business permit, and treasury. So we also have the plug-in modules, which is an extension of the system. So these are the community tax certificate, the other parts of the system that you want to be automated. So we develop some plugins for it. And we also focus on process automation. So since we already deployed to several LGUs, we collected all the best practice. For example, in our treasury module, it is a complete revenue cycle, starting from accountable for management, then to the collection, remittance and liquidation, and deposit. So the collectors in the system cannot collect if hindi sila ma-assign na ng accountable form. So we also manage the accountable forms inventory, no? So that is part of the package. And we also do some reports like, for example, the SRS, which is the Statement of Revenue Sources, because as of the moment, the focus of E-TRACS is revenue as of this time. So we can generate the revenue part of the SRE. We have the abstract of collections. We have other reports like BLGF, like lift, collectors cash book, etc. So if merong kailangan si BLGF na bagong report, normally this is reported to us and we develop it, and then we include it in our package. Now the software is not sold. However, it can be availed for free. However, because it's free, it's not easily downloadable. You can only get this software if you're a grant recipient, if you have, if an LGU can share the system to you, which is common, especially like Legazpi City is doing this for the other LGUs in Bicol region, or you can simply have a direct engagement with us. So you pay for the annual fee, you get the software also in that case. So the annual fee is not for the payment of the software, but for the sustainability. So our key market differentiator compared to other software providers is we focus on the integration capability and sustainability. When we say integration capability, what we mean is E-TRACS is a single platform where all the applications are there, and then when you log in, it is what you can do is dependent on the role assigned to you. So unlike other systems, where in the example you have the business permit and licensing, another system, and separate collection. In real property, you have another system for that. With E-TRACS, all the collections are integrated. So it is possible that a collector can collect any kind of collection starting from business permit and real property. No, so it does not need a special collector for this. A case in point, for example, in Puerto Princesa City, they were able to implement a one receipt system that they call 5156. No, so what that is it's like a receipt that can apply to both general collections, business permit collections, and real property. So what it does is, if may magbayad ng general collection or ng business permit, the receipt will look like a 51 form. If may magbayad ng real property, it will look like a 56 form. So ang maganda po dito is continuous form po yan. So when a collector does is it's very efficient because they don't need to remove the receipt. They just put it there and then accept as many collections as possible. So that also increases the efficiency of the collectors. So if you want to know more about, you can contact Puerto Princesa how they were able to do it. But that's just an example. They were able to do it because the system supports it. Okay, so we were able to customize it that way. Okay, so let's talk about the E-TRACS sustainability. The E-TRACS sustainability is an annual subscription fee that you apply for us after and you sign a MOA with us. So that will give you these following benefits. So the benefits are, number one, it is you get free updates because we continuously update the system. So you get the updates for free. You don't need to pay extra for that. We have free assistance, limited lang, no, not all problems we can answer, but we have free assistance. If you have questions like that, how to use the system, we only members will have access to our training. So if you are not a member in our sustainability, you cannot get trainings that we conduct. No, so also you can also purchase plugins if you're a member. And then this is the more important part, the cloud connectivity. So I will explain later what this is, but the main purpose of this is you cannot have a cloud connectivity if you are not a member. So you must be a member in our sustainability to be able to have this. And we have also, if you're a member also, we have a community of users in Facebook where we encourage each LGU to share. And if there's a problem, we encourage them to help other LGUs to solve some problems. So if you want to know more about E-TRACS, since this is not an orientation about E-TRACS, you can just visit www.etracs.org. You can contact us, or you can go to our Facebook page and then just search E-TRACS. So enough about E-TRACS. Now let us proceed to the topic for today. So what is e-payment? An e-payment system or an electronic payment system facilitates the acceptance of electronic payment for online transactions. So this means keywords, there must be an internet connection, or over the internet, you're doing things over the internet, and cashless. No, so we don't normally involve cash or checks. Normally, the methods of payment here are credit cards. We have bank payments like online banking, and you do a fund transfer to pay for something. And then we also have mobile money wallets, like our partners like GCash and Paymaya. No? So they are money issuers to provide this facility. So what are the uses? Normally, it is mainly used for e-commerce, like buying goods online. So I'm sure some of you have accomplished this, buying goods online. Sometimes we do online banking, like InstaPay. We have InstaPay, and then most of our banks right now, they have digital they have digital offerings. and sometimes we pay our bills online, and government services. Now, regarding government services, this is not yet, although there are some, but it is not yet widespread, no, the use of e-payment in government services. That's probably why you are here right now, because you want to use this so that you can offer e-payment services. Now, if you do this, there will be a lot of benefits. For example, for your citizens, number one, it is very convenient. They don't have to queue there to pay their taxes. It is safe, especially today that we limit face-to-face transaction because of the pandemic. It is secure because the taxpayer actually has direct transaction with the LGU, so there will be no third party in between, and you're not exchanging cash. So basically, it is secure, and there are some logs there from the banks that you can trace. So basically, it's more secure than paying cash. It is cost efficient because as a taxpayer, I don't have to travel to the LGU. So yung cost natin for transportation, it will be removed because I can simply do transactions at home. And transparent because I can really see the transaction online. So there's no need for me to haggle. No, I don't need to haggle to a person. What a person here communicates with the system, and the system cannot be haggled. So if you have a discount, it will apply a discount. If you have surcharge and penalties, hindi mo na rin siya negotiate because it is a system. Now, on the other hand of the spectrum, we also have benefits for local governments. So ano po yun? Well, it can greatly improve collection efficiency. Now, how so? You're at present right now, if you do a manual collection, you will be limited by the number of collectors that you have. So if you do a time study, let's say 5 minutes for every receipt that you do, there will only be a limit. For example, we can calculate 60 hours in a day, and then multiply it by 7 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, and then 7 minutes in a day. It will total only to about 2,000 per collector. It might look many, but if you compare it with electronic, the electronic basically has no limit. You can do transaction as many as several transactions within simultaneously. So this is what cannot be done by a human. No? And then less cost of operation because you don't need to hire more collectors for this. So that's why it's less po yung cost of operation natin dito. And then safe and secure, as I mentioned, it will limit or reduce face-to-face transactions. And then the most important of all, especially for the mayors and everybody, it will give a better image to taxpayers. So basically, the taxpayers will love you for it, no? Because by providing them, that means that you care for their well-being, no? So for me, what is an what is an ideal e-payment system? So this is my criteria on how an ideal payment looks like. Number one, for me, it might not be applicable to you, but this is for medyo mataas yung kuwan natin, expectation on how we want an e-payment system to look like. First of all, it should be fully automated. Transactions should be in real time with proper controls in place. So if your current system cannot handle, if manual pa, even if computerized kayo, pero manual pa yung pagko-compute nyo, this will not fly for an e-payment system. Like for example, if somebody pays for real property and you still compute how much to compute for the tax, then this is not. Your system should be able to compute this automatically, no? So if they pay on before the deadline, they get the discount. If they pay after the deadline, they get penalties. Or if they pay advance payment, we have some rules for it. So for me, dapat yung operational system natin should be fully automated. If you cannot do a fully automated system, then this will not be an ideal e-payment system. Next is the e-payment system should be a complete cycle. We call this, I term this as closed loop. So, ibig sabihin nun, the ending of the e-payment does not stop at the acknowledgement of payment from the bank. So the system should be able to issue automatic electronic or official receipt after successful posting to the ledgers. So it must be in real or near real time, no? So if your system something like, for example, I pay my real property online, pero next week ko pa makukuha yung resibo ko and then my ledger, for me that is not an ideal e-payment system. It should be near real time. Because it should automate most of the things, okay? So that's my criteria. And of course, it should be simple to use so that it can be easily used by any person. It might be our senior citizens or whoever. We should be able to use this system, no, very easily. And if you decide to go to online payment, I suggest we have to make this always available, 24/7. Why? Because ang cater natin dito hindi lang for Filipinos na nandito sa Philippines. We cater also to the OFWs who are outside the country. And if you look at their time zone, ang umaga doon is gabi sa atin. So if our online facilities only available 8 to 5, basically that it will be useless, no? Because their time there is different from us. So normally they will transact evening na sa atin. And given an online system, this should also provide for example mga late payers, no? Na even after 5 o'clock, we should be able to cater to their payments if they want to pay. So that's why if you decide to go to an e-payment, you should be ready to have your systems available 24/7. So, ano po yung legal basis natin dito? Now, we cannot just do something with the e-payment and then implement it. There has to be some legal basis. So, I'll enumerate some dito. First of all, we have the Republic Act number 8792, series of 2000, which is the E-Commerce Act of 2000. So imagine na 2000 pa yan. It encourages government entities to provide a platform to clients for the acceptance of electronic payments. So remember 2000 pa yan, pero sa ngayon hindi pa siya talaga widespread. So even so, ganun pa katagal, meron na talagang trust yung government to provide electronic payments. Now, buti na lang meron tayong Republic Act 11032, which has been signed into law. So this is the EODB, or the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Services. So it mandates all offices and agencies to improve their transaction systems and procedures. So take note of the keyword, mandate po yung keyword, hindi recommend, mandate po. So eventually, you will need to improve your systems, and then yung electronic po is, like for example, I think one of the key one there is to provide electronic copies of permits and electronic support for e-payment. So eventually, sooner or later, we will have to implement this. Okay? So ano pa ba yung iba? We have the DTI-DOF Joint Department Administrative Order, or the JDAO number 1001 series of 2010. So this enumerates implementing guidelines of EPCS, or the Electronic Payment Collection System, for the payment of fees, charges, assessments, and other revenues due to the government. So ibig sabihin nito is the LGU is not allowed to collect electronic by themselves. It should be through the ones like financial partners, no? So you cannot do this on yourself. So with that, because there is already investment involved, you have to consider that this is normal for a bank to have payment charges, no? Because you are using their system. Okay? So normal po yan. That is allowed. It's if you want to read about this, nandyan po yan sa particular this particular law, no? Yung order. So we also have the DTR Department Administrative Order DAO number 08 series of 2006, which is basically about sharing of collecting personal data information. So maybe this is for the data privacy law, no? Okay, so now there are conditions on charging convenience fees. So like I've said, this is supported by this particular order. Section 4, you read the Section 4 of the DTI-DOF JDAO 1001 series of 2010 that is enumerated there regarding the legality of charging convenience fees. So normally, if there's a convenience fee, it is imposed on a per transaction basis. Okay? So for every transaction, meron po siyang charge. Now, the transacting clients shall be duly informed of the convenience fees imposed and provide opportunity to opt out of using the EPCS. So this means that when you're offering an e-payment, there should be an option for the taxpayer to opt out. So meaning, hindi po siya, we are not mandating them to use the e-payment. E-payment is just an alternative form of payment, and that if you want to use it, you have to agree to the terms that there will be fees involved, and then you have to agree on the other terms regarding handling of the e-payment. No? So if you do not agree to that, then you have an option to opt out and then pay through the manual process. So hindi po natin force yung applicants. Yun lang yung kanila. That it should be transparent that they will, before they commit to a transaction, they will know how much they will pay. And they have a chance to cancel it. Okay? So the convenience fee shall be processed as a separate and unique transaction from the appropriate amount due to the government entity. So this means that when we issue, normally your e-payment is processed by the banks or the partner, and then they apply the charge. The charge will be collected by the financial from the partners. They will, what will return to the LGU will be the original amount without the charge. So that means hindi na po mag-reflect yung charges doon sa OR ng government entity. Okay? So I'll explain it later, the process there, but what will appear in the OR or the EOR, what will appear will be the fees only of the LGU. Does not contain the charges. Otherwise, hindi rin natin mabalance yan. No? So, ganon din. And then, of course, with e-payment, it requires agencies to provide an electronic official receipt. Pursuant to Circular 2013-007, ito po yung guidelines for the use of electronic official receipts to acknowledge collection of income and other receipts of the government. Now, some of you might be asking, ano po yung legality ng electronic OR? So we have the COA Circular 2004-006, like I mentioned. This indicates the guidelines on the acceptability of electronic receipts. And then we have the COA Circular 2013-007, which is the guidelines for the use of electronic official receipts to acknowledge collection and other receipts of government. Now, somebody asked me before, do I have to register to the BIR? And I asked my consultants from our partners, from our consultants, hindi na po kailangan because hindi po kayo private entity, no? So for government entity hindi na kailangan kasi hindi naman tayo nag-declare ng ano, sa unlike the private that they declare their income. That's why i-report nila yung OR. For government entities daw, hindi na kailangan daw. So, electronic official receipts. Again, I'll mention this. Balik-balikan ko talaga to because this particular issue is always being discussed. So, I suggest you just download this and read through this for treasurers, no? And then, like I've said, this is the guidelines for electronic receipts. Now, this is important. The EOR refers to a proof of payment generated, issued through an electronic payment and collection system. So with a unique or sequential reference numbers that can be validated using the same system. So ang key dito is dapat the EOR that we generate should be unique and it should not be recyclable, no? So it should be unique throughout. Even if we transfer already all data, that number should not be reused again. So this is the sample EOR number that we have in E-TRACS. It starts with the code EOR to indicate that that is an electronic payment. And then we have the payment partner code here, which we indicated as this, no? So Land Bank, PDP, Paymaya. So we have a different series for different partners. And this is the LGU code. And normally, if you are familiar with real property, this is the unique code of an LGU, 3 digits for cities and 5 digits for municipalities. And we have the year here, and then sequence. Now, that's why I've also invited our guests from BLGF, because one of the purpose of this orientation is also to come up with, maybe we can come up with a manual procedure, something like a standardization of process, so that you can learn from whatever we did, and then it can be applicable maybe to other providers in the future. So at least we will pave the way for this, no? So if we can standardize this, then it would be, we will be willing to work with this, no? So that it can also at the same time help us and help the E-TRACS users, especially if meron na mga standard procedures. So this is what, that's why I asked BLGF if they can attend, and then okay naman na I know the risk involved, no, since private company kami. That's why I appreciate their presence. Okay, so we have to understand first yung history natin, how we came about with e-payment and how we had to go through this e-payment. So basically, yung nag-initiate yon, it was because of a USAID project. So US na naman this time, no? Hindi na mga Australian. So in March 2015, there was a USAID fund na program which is called e-peso. So the goal of the e-peso is to contribute to broad-based growth and financial inclusion by accelerating the shift to digital payments. So they are trying to promote the use of digital payments. So one of the areas there is local government units. Now, they have what we call recipient cities, or they call the CDI cities. That's what their term for their recipient. So parang mga pilot cities nila, they have those. Now what they noticed was some of the LGU cities that they have are using our system, like for example Puerto Princesa, Legazpi, and Tagbilaran. So they were quite intrigued, and then that's why they called us for a meeting to how to go about. So in November 15, I went to Manila in their head office in I think in Makati. So we had an initial discussion with the e-peso team in the morning, and then we had the talks with Land Bank and DBP and I think Union Bank in the afternoon session. Now, during the meeting, they told me about what their vision is, and then the first question that I raised to them was, who will pay for our development? No, who will pay for whatever we do? Now, you have to remember, yung AusAid po is quite different from USAid, because yung mga Australian, yung sa AusAid, normally they have fund ready. They will ask you how much is the project, and then they fund you. Now, in the case of USAID, wala pang lumalabas na pera, no? What they usually do is they just intervene and then collaborate and then connect you to different offices. So that's why nagbe-brainstorm kami, how can I recover my cost, because development to, and then I need to recover it. Of course, this is not a charity. We have to, I pay for the development, and then not just development, no, how to maintain the system. Now, they were talking to me, find ways how to do it. So I was looking at it. If I sell this system, only a few LGUs will be able to enjoy it, no? So How about yung mga systems natin na, how about the LGU members that we have that cannot afford such systems, so they will not be able to use it. Now, also, um, uh, if ever they buy the software, it does not stop there. They have to invest a lot. For example, they have to invest in networks, in different hardware for the e-payment. So I told them, this is not really, if I sell this, this is not really gonna fly, for the LGUs, because this is too expensive for them to maintain and to run. Now, the other option that we had was, they mentioned to me that maybe we can work out with a transaction on a per transaction basis. So I computed the transaction basis. I asked them, are we allowed to charge? I was thinking, in my mind at the time, I was thinking about, like for example, if we get the birth certificate, normally if we go to the NSO office, you pay 155, okay, 155. I think that's the pay if you pay there. But if you pay online, it's 375, no? So I think 300 something, but more than double. So I said, can I use that model? And they said, no, that's too much. So I asked, how come they can do it and I cannot do it? They just said that, just find ways so that we can help the LGUs so that to promote the e-payment. Okay, so with that, we settled on a 20 pesos per transaction, and I was computing it. I cannot recover on this cost. If I charge only 20 pesos, I cannot really recover this cost, no, because I will be paying for the servers. I will be paying for my development people. I really cannot I cannot recover that. But there was an idea that I had that maybe if I can pull all the LGUs together and then do a one facility, maybe because of the volume or the number of LGUs connecting, they can help in the recovery of my cost. Okay, so that's why this is our business model today, that we charge 20 pesos for every transaction on top of charges from Land Bank and DBP. They have different charges, convenience fees on their side, regarding uh, depending on the type of payment. Okay, so that's why we arrive on this amount. The main reason there, I cannot charge that much because that was only the one that we approve on. So for me, this facility is really not. I'm running on, basically, I have to be honest, running on a loss po tayo ngayon. I cannot recover yet, but we're into this in the long run, and then hopefully, as we go along, as we improve, maybe I can recover in the future. Okay, so kaya po meron ganon. Okay, with that, let's go to the development. So we agreed on that. So we started development of a project we call Filipizen. So the Filipizen is different from E-TRACS. This is the website for citizens. Okay, so we have in 2016, I again went back to Manila to meet with the Land Bank and DBP regarding how to go about with the MOA with LGUs. And what we agreed on was it should be a tripartite agreement because we have charges on their side. No? So that was what was agreed on. Now, for January 2017, we continued development and we started integration with their systems. So, in-integrate na po namin dito yung system ng Land Bank and saka DBP. So, it took us a few months to develop this, and we also improved our website. And then, on August 2018, we finally launched the e-payment of business permits in Tagbilaran City. Now, business permits only because at that time, Tagbilaran City had another real property system. So, business permits lang pwede because that was the only one running in E-TRACS. In the same year, October, we also launched e-payment, but this time including real property with Legazpi City, because Legazpi City has been with us for several years already, and then they're using a real property system. So natural lang, automatic, after we launch, they can also collect real property there. And then In the next year, we replicated the service to the other LGUs like Ligao, Puerto Princesa, General Santos. We even have municipalities like Obay in Bohol and Nabunturan in Davao de Oro. Okay, so because their treasurer there was very aggressive that they wanted to implement ahead. So that's why we complied also with them. Okay, so in March 2020, nag-close na po yung program, yung sa USAID e-peso. So GCash and PayMaya, we only launched it this year. No? So running na po yung GCash and PayMaya for Tagbilaran and yung sa Legazpi City, working pa sa GCash. Okay, so here are some pictures I want to share. So this is during our meeting with the Land Bank in the head office. So this is the USAID team, this is me, this is the USAID team, and these are the heads of Land Bank in the electronic payment. And this is during our launching in Tagbilaran City. We launched the service together with USAID. We also launched during our launching in Legazpi City with their mayor here, okay, and DBP and Land Bank also. And then we had a signing with Ligao City. So Ligao City only applied used Land Bank for their payment partners. And then we also launched in March 2019 Puerto Princesa. Now take note on the guy here on beside me. This is Mamerto Tangonan. He is the USAID chief of party for e-peso at the time. Now I'm just mentioning this because he's already connected with the BSP. He's one of the deputy governors na po doon. No, he's also he's focused also in the electronic payments. Okay, so I just need to mention that. Anyway, this is the launching in General Santos City. We launched with their mayor, the DBP and Land Bank payment there. Okay, so this is I'm just comparing the 4 cities because ito po yung medyo may maraming transactions. So I'm just comparing it. In 2018, medyo slow pa yung pick up dito because we just launched. Now, in 2019, nag-pick up na yung Legazpi City because maybe they have, because of the real property and business permit licensing there. That's why medyo tumaas yung collection nila, sa e-payment. Yung sa Tagbilaran, they're still starting with the business permit. And then others also for hindi pa siya masyadong kuan. Now, during the pandemic time, Legazpi City was able to maintain this because yung mga previous nagbabayad dito, nakita naman nila yung efficiency doon. So maybe they also pay again here. So medyo nag-slow lang konti because of the pandemic. But you have to understand, even pandemic time, medyo okay yung collection nila dito. So yung Tagbilaran medyo nag-low konti. But if you compare this in the 2021, nag-increase both yung Legazpi tsaka Puerto Princesa. But yung Legazpi, it's because of we added another service sa Legazpi, which is yung sa OSCP, yung online building permit processing nila, tsaka occupancy certificate na pwede na rin sila magbayad online. That's why nag-add yun sa possible na payments nila doon, no? And then pero yung dramatic talaga yung Tagbilaran because nag-shoot talaga siya dito, no? For this year. It was primarily because we launched the water payments for them, no? Yung utility kasi nila is run by the LGU. So we provided GCash payments there and then PayMaya payments and Land Bank payments there, DBP for water payments. So yun ay nag-contribute, and they also launched the real property tax payment. So nag-ship na po sila ng system, nagamit na sila ng e-TRACS, kaya nga it added up to the collection that they can collect online. Now, one of the success factors na nakita ko dito is if you increase the number of partners, like ang traditional partners natin is Land Bank and DBP, but if we add more partners like PayMaya and GCash, it will add more channels for them and more options for them to pay. That's why medyo it can also improve their adoption of the e-payment. So that is our lesson learned here. Okay. So just to give you a slice how much in total. So this is across all our LGUs. So ang malaki talaga is the building permit licensing fees, followed by the real property payment fees. And then dramatically, since we only launched middle of this year for the waterworks, pero nag-pick up agad yung waterworks. This is for Tagbilaran lang alone. And then we also have a 1% dito collection for the OACP or yung mga building permit processing. So let's go to the system design. So how did we design the system? Now, before you design a system, you must have some form of criteria. And then for me, ito po yung criteria that I wanted for the system. So first is data must remain in the LGU. So what that means is we treat data as very what do you call this, sacred in a way, no? Hindi po namin gusto yung data will reside in the cloud, no? Because we do not know where it is being stored. Now, for me, the safest part is it should remain where in the LGU where it belongs, no? So that's why when we design the system, it should be able to cater na yung data must be in the LGU, not somewhere in the cloud. And then next is we want to focus on development, not on security. Now, for you have to understand, even as hindi po kami we trust nobody, no? So sa ganun talaga yung mindset for a programmer that we always consider everything can be hacked, no? Everything can be hacked. We don't want to focus because walang katapusan yung mag-focus tayo sa security. That's why for me the safest is if you cannot handle security, might not as well host it in your website, no? Or in your locality. So ang focus po natin dito, we want to host the system in a more secured environment. We don't want the system to be handled by non-experts or hindi po siya for security. I'll explain later what that is, no? And then third is it should be cost efficient to run for the LGU. If you host the system yourself, yung LGU, if you decide to host the system, take note hindi lang yung cost nyo dito, hindi lang yung software, yung cost nyo dito would be you need to get a lease line kasi hindi pwede yung normal DSL ninyo. You should have a lease line at least. So normal lease line siguro at the past yung rate no normally 30,000 a month yan. So are you ready to spend that amount for an e-payment? And then you have to buy you have to purchase firewalls. You have to hire experts or people who are experts in cybersecurity who can monitor activity in the activity online, no? So those are things that you need to consider if you plan to host it. Okay, so that's why our decision is our system should not allow or should not include na mag-host yung LGU sa system, no? Because for us that's too expensive for an LGU to operate. Hindi nyo ma-recover yung cost doon. Next is okay, this is also relating to security. It should not expose the LGU server to the public, no? So it should not that's why yung static IP okay yun, but we should not promote that static IP because that will give an idea for hackers, no, where to contact your server. So that's why we don't want to expose your system to the elements, no, over the web. And then in case ito po yung isa sa important namin dito na criteria is it should allow continuity in case there are internet connection. So if your system is basically nasa cloud lahat, if you don't have internet connection, walang transaction, zero transactions niyo, di ba? Pag lahat nandun sa cloud. So mag-antay na naman tayo, manual muna tayo before until the internet goes up. So what we're proposing is even if wala pong internet connection, the LGU can still operate on on the operations. So siguro ang matanggal lang is yung online capability, but you can still operate, no? Kasi even if there's a brownout, pwede naman kayo magbili lang ng anong tawag nito? Genset, no? Genset lang, okay na siya. So yun po yung requirement natin dito, na it should not require internet all the time. So with that said, paano po namin na-design yung system? This system is what we call a hybrid cloud. So a hybrid cloud starts with yung nagkuha po kami ng servers sa Amazon. So AWS po ito. So why Amazon? Because Amazon, na-experience po namin na secure talaga yung site nila. I'll give you an example. Before, when we started, nag-host kami ng website sa Amazon, parang transactional na website sa Amazon. And then we were using some open source servers for that, no? Now, what we did not know was yung servers kasi namin, hindi namin na-patch ng security, hindi namin na-add yung security ko andun. Kasi if we patch it, we need to recode our entire application, and we did not have time for that. Now, ang hindi namin alam is na-compromise na pala yun, na-hack na pala yung system namin. But if you look at the website, parang okay pa rin yung website namin. Maganda pa rin siya tingnan. Nothing happened. But in the back end, meron po tawag nilang worm na continuously infecting Amazon servers. Now, what Amazon did was, they contacted us and sent us an alert letter na based on their investigation, nakita nila na the hack was coming from our side. So if they warned us that if we do not stop our server, they will block our account. So that's when I learned that maganda yung security of Amazon. That's what I was trying to tell you, na with this we can focus on development. Hindi na kami mag-worry about security because their security is top-notch already because of the transaction that they're handling. So maganda po siya na may security. Okay, so shift lang tayo ng, I just shifted topic konti. Now, the next is we develop a system that we call Filipizen. So yung Filipizen po is a web-based system that is residing in the cloud, that we launched in the Amazon cloud. Okay, now let's imagine meron tayong mga servers from LGUs. We have the Tagbilaran server, we have the Gaspi server, and then Puerto Princesa server. So what it does is that all these servers will connect to our cloud. No, this will connect to our cloud. It is not the other way around where Filipizen will contact the E-TRACS. It is the server that connects to Amazon. Okay. Now each of these servers will be identified by a particular number. Here, this is the LGU code here. So this is the particular number. So for Tagbilaran, it's 154. Legazpi is 137. And Puerto Princesa is 134. So if you look at our Filipizen website, you can see this something like this. If you go to www.filipizen.com, you can see all our member LGUs here. Na if blue siya, that means connected yung server nila. If gray siya, that means either down yung server nila or wala pang connectivity to the LGU. So ito, ibig sabihin ng blue, pwede connected na po yung LGU. Okay. So how does it work in the background? Ganito po yan siya mag-work. Okay. So we have Amazon here, the cloud. So we have the E-TRACS server. Now, if you're a member of E-TRACS, you will be given parang inbox. You have to imagine like an inbox where it is indicated there, it is identified by your particular number. So imagine meron kang inbox doon na 173, that is for General Santos. So we have a system which we call GDX. So yung GDX po, ito lang yung kailangan natin i-expose sa internet. We don't have to expose E-TRACS in the internet. Only the GDX will be exposed to the internet. So ito lang pwede nyo lagyan ng internet. You can do that, but for security purposes, ito lang yung expose natin sa internet, not this one. So ito lang. What the GDX does is The moment you turn this on, it will connect to the inbox in the cloud. Okay, so with that, parang nagko-connect na siya doon sa, nag-aantay na siya ng delivery of message from clients, no? So parang nakaabang lang. Now let's say you have a citizen or taxpayer here who wants to do an online billing. So they will send the information doon sa inbox, and then pag natanggap na ni GDX, nakita niya na may message na darating, what it does is it will download the message doon sa server, tapos it will push that to E-TRACS server. The E-TRACS server will process your request, and then it will develop a response, and then send back to you the message, and then you will get the message. You will appear in the screen. Now remember, all of this works very fast. Hindi niyo ma-notice ito, no? Hindi niyo ma-notice. So, to illustrate further, ganito yung mangyayari. So, let's say nag-billing ka ng business, okay? So, normally you will type the reference number of your bill or your information. Now, pag-click mo ng submit, it will pack this into a record we call a JSON object for mga ITs familiar dito. This is a JSON object that it will pack or your request, like yung reference number niya, yung transaction type, yung date, tsaka yung particular org. Now, next nito is it will seal this message. It will seal this message and then send this to the server. So imagine po tayo, marami tayong inboxes there. It will locate the particular inbox. Like example, this is 137. So it will locate that 137 and isend niya yung message doon sa 137. Now, since nakaabang yung E-TRACS, kukunin niya yung message dito, ipaprocess niya yon, tapos send back yung message niyo, yung billing, and then the billing will be displayed in your page. So basically, yun po yung how our system works in a nutshell. Mag-break muna tayo sandali, no? We'll have a raffle break, and then after the raffle break, we will continue with the discussion.
Okay, so let's continue with our topic. We'll now discuss the e-payment process. So let's look at the components of the system. We have E-TRACS here, which is the system that is running in the LGU. We have Filipizen, which is running in the cloud. And we have the system here of the payment partner, which is representative of our partners, with Land Bank, BBP, Paymaya, and GCash as of this moment. So these components, these three components, are separated by the internet. So one of the things that we should note is because this is in between, there's an internet connection here, the possibility that there will be errors will increase, because as you know, the internet connection, the farther you are from the network or yung connection mo, the chances of having errors are quite will increase, no? Because like I've said, yung internet connection natin, especially dito sa Philippines, is sometimes not reliable, sometimes, okay? So anyway, ang important dito is we need to be able to handle the particular errors of this. So the system should be able to have some capability to correct errors such as this. Okay, so let's take, for example, we have a taxpayer or a citizen who wants to pay the business online. Huh? So he visits the website at www.filipizen.com and then selects the particular LGU and then select a transaction, for example, online billing. Okay, so he does an online billing. Now, after specifying the reference number and clicking on submit, this will be processed by the E-TRACS servers running in the LGU. So the system, the E-TRACS system computes the bill and then returns the billing info. So the taxpayer, the taxpayer here will continue this process. Like for example, he wants to know how much is the billing for 1 quarter only. or 2 quarters for example. So it will continue computing in real time. Now after doing this process, if he wants to pay, he clicks on confirm or do a payment. Okay, so what the system does is a process called checkout. So if you're familiar with e-commerce, normally may checkout yan sa e-commerce na once ready ka na magbili, you will click on the checkout page to specify kung ano yung mga what you need to pay. So it is the same structure here that once you have decided how much you want to pay, it will be done on the checkout process. Now, in the checkout process, it will be processed by the E-TRACS system. What the system does is it will create an e-payment order. So the e-payment order generates a unique ID, unique transaction ID, which it then submits back to the server, to Filipizen website. The transaction ID is the specific transaction that is covered by this transaction. The transaction ID is the reference. Okay, so during the select payment partner, you select any of the partners that we have, and then by clicking their logo or their icon there, it will redirect this to the system or the page of the payment partner. And what it does is it will send the transaction ID and the amount, which is the reference of the transaction. Now the payment process partner, the payment partner processes the payment. If the payment is successful, it will send back to our server, to the Filipizen, the trace number and the trace date. So the trace number and the trace date here are the reference of the transaction for the successful payment, together with the transaction ID, which was the ID that we have, and the amount that was processed. Okay, so these things are very important. This will be logged in Filipizen. So on the other side also, it will generate payment acknowledgement, where the taxpayer can also use that as their document or as a proof of payment. But hindi pa siya yung official receipt, no? This is just an acknowledgement of the payment, and then it will specify the total amount that was paid to the partner. So including yung charges dito, no? Kasama na yung charges dito. So this is important because if there's a failure here, for example, na successfully process sa payment partner yung payment nila, but it was not successfully logged in our server, you can use this payment acknowledgement as proof na nagbayad ka talaga. And what we will do is meron kaming procedure doon to correct this, provided na there is the documents coming from the bank, no, regarding this. So okay, now after logging the payment, it will be processed again by E-TRACS, no, yung server natin. Now what the E-TRACS server does is it will recalculate the bill before posting it. So bakit niya i-recalculate yung bill? Now there's a chance kasi na during important kasi yung mga dates dito, no? Important yung when the payment was made. Like for example, in the business payment process, normally meron yung deadline, no, na nagbabayad ka. For example, sa renewal, normally yung deadline doon is January 20. Now, past January 20, pag nagbayad ka after January 20, mag-iba na yung bill mo because there will be a penalty. There will be a penalty in that sense, no? So kailangan mahabol mo yung payment before January 20 para hindi pa mag-effect yung penalties niya. Now, let's just take for example, nagbilling ka January 20 pero malapit ng mag-midnight, maybe mga 11:50 ka siguro nagbilling. And then, after, kung nagbayad ka, it was forwarded to the partner. Sa next day na, example, naglampas na siya ng January 20, January 21 na. Tapos na-process yung payment mo, January 21 na, let's say 1 a.m., ganun. So that means, hindi mo naabutan yung payment, no? Even though nakabill ka on time, but the payment was not logged on time. Yung payment mo dito, medyo, na siya, after the deadline na. So what the system does is, it will recalculate the bill para to reflect the penalties, no? Kasi hindi mo naabutan eh. And we will use this trace date here. This is the payment date, the actual payment date. Ito yung gagamitin natin, not our billing date, no? It will use this date. So pag nakuha niya na mag-recalculate na siya ng bill, so you will be underpaid, no? Meron pang parang partial payment 'yon, no? Because you have not fully paid. So, let's say na partial payment mo yon, it will still generate the EOR. But it will reflect only whatever you have paid. So, may kulang pa to. May kulang pa siya, no? Kasi late ka na nga nagbayad, yung payment mo already includes the penalty. So, may balance ka pa. So, pag partial payment yon, kulang pa siya ng bayad, it will not signal the business system, yung BPLS system natin, hindi pa siya mag-signal na ma-release yung bill. Okay? Kasi the system also communicates with the other modules, no? Kasi after payment, successful payment dito sa system natin, it will signal the other modules na, for example, sa BPLS na pwede ka na bang mag-release sa permit. Now, let's say fully paid yung payment mo, kompleto yun. Like I've said, it will signal the other systems na pwede mo na issue yung permit. So if you configure the permitting na automatically mag-generate siya ng number after payment, we can do so in the system, no? Pwede natin gawin yan sa system para after payment, diretso na yung permit mo. So pwede yon. We can do it that way, no? And then that would be ideal also because dapat payment should be the last part sa application process, no? Dapat wala ng additional na mga approvals after payment. So it will make sense na pwede na natin issue yung advance copy ng permits. Anyway, yung OR mo, pag na-successfully generated na yung OR, it will also contact the server to signal the Filipizen na generate ko na successfully din yung EOR namin, pwede mo na i-close yung payment, yung transaction, sirado na yung transaction because I have already computed the EOR, no? So, ganito siya nagko-communicate ng system. So, after closing the payment, it will again go back to the E-TRACS na successfully na-close ko na yung transaction sa server. Pwede na natin, it will signal E-TRACS na pwede mo nang i-email yung EOR. So that's why after this, mag-send na siya ng EOR. So if you notice, meron mga arrows dito that I colored, no? So this one is the red, may green, ganyan, may color. So what this simply means is that ito, pag may error dito, since this is separated by the internet, if may failure sa internet sa pagbayad niya dito, ang solution diyan is you need to contact the help desk of Rameses, no? Kasi hindi siya nakapasok sa system natin. Bali, pagbayad niya dito, naputol yung internet, hindi nakapasok sa system natin. So you need to contact us and then we will investigate and then ito yung acknowledged payment, kailangan natin yun para as a reference na meron talagang yan. So we have to undergo process pa. But this is really mag-error, no? Because yung Filipizen website hindi namin ino-off yun. So continuously nag-run yun eh. So the chances dito na mag-error ito is not so high, no? Mas marami yung mas successful dito. Ang dito na side, dito yung magko-communicate between E-TRACS and Filipizen, these are chances na malaki yung chances na mag-error talaga because alam mo na yung LGU, especially if yung internet nila hindi maganda, so nagpuputol-putol talaga sometimes yung internet dito. But provided na pasok lang yung transaction sa E-TRACS, sa Filipizen, we have automated yung pag-resolve ng errors dito, no? So meron kaming mga tools doon or mga utilities that will ensure that this will continue. Ang tawag po namin doon is parang process continuation. So parang if may error siya for a particular phase, pwede natin i-replay yung transaction para mag-go through, no? So click lang ng button yun, it will not require so many effort. So pag may error dito, ma-fix natin before natin i-replay. So this is a handy tool na ma-ensure talaga natin na walang intervention, no? Walang intervention during this pag-correct ng transaction. Okay, so let's demonstrate now. This is the actual how it is done doon sa how it works now in actual. So this is a sample of a business online payment with land bank. No? So i-play ko lang. So then selection ng Filipizen. No, dito selection ng particular transaction, let's say Tagbilaran. Then select siya ng ano transaction yun, so business. So specify niya yung email address. The system will send you an OTP or one-time password doon sa email mo. Email is important dito. Yung mobile number not so much. So, copy mo lang yung OTP doon and then paste it so you can continue. So, tinitest din namin if okay ba yung email mo. So, from here, specify the reference number of the bill and then it will look up. So, yun, nagko-communicate siya sa server, sa E-TRACS. Specify siya ng quarter to pay. So, dito, is about to do a checkout. So, specify mo yung anong pangalan na lalabas doon sa resibo. So, pag-click mo ng continue dyan, nag-check-out na siya. So, it will, if you notice here, meron na siyang transaction number, yung order payment. Tapos, selection ng partner dito, this will redirect you to the partner page. Now, here, this is the page of land bank. No? So, specify ka. Meron din siyang mga options si land bank. We have the PHC, PHCH, ano ba yun? O, basta regarding yun sa mga banks, no? And then, marami din siyang option doon sa payment pagpasok mo sa land bank na side. So, specify mo lang yan and then follow the instructions. Kailangan ka think pag ATM mo yung babayaran mo, kailangan ka ng PIN. So, meron din silang OTP. So, I think meron din siyang OTP. So, specify mo lang din. So, select mo lang yung info dyan. Tapos, specify mo yung kuhan. Yan. Tapos, type ka ng PIN. Kailangan kasi ng PIN yun. And then, click on submit. Now, pag successful yung payment, mag-generate si land bank ng payment acknowledgement. No? Pwede mo i-print yun. I think may print yun. Pwede niya i-print yun. Yes. So, pag successful yung payment, pabalik to sa page natin dito. So, this is a successful payment. And then, at a later date, so mag-send na ng EOR yung system. So, this is how it looks like. Matanggap po na yung EOR mo sa email with the bank details sa baba. Okay? So, that is how it works. Again, magkuha tayo ng another example dito. Let's say, RPT payment naman, and then we'll use this is another example, okay? So, we'll try with PayMaya payment. So, yun. Type siya ng email address. Yan. So, this is same procedure with business, no? So, yun. Tapos, specify ka lang tax declaration number. Click ka na next. So, yun. Tapos, pwede kang may option ka kung ano babayaran mo. Even if advance payment, you can pay up to 3 years in advance, no? So, pwede yun. Yan. Magko-compute ng system and then confirm. It will start with the checkout process. Specify mo lang yung pangalan sa payer doon sa resibo. And then, dito, nag-generate na siya so, you select dito, pag sa PayMaya side, select ka lang. I'll go back to this page. Medyo mabilis na dali lang. I will go back to this page. So, Sandali lang. If you notice dito sa pay my up, wait, may error sa. Balik lang natin I just want to specify dito kung ayan yan dito. So if you notice, yung Paymaya na side dito, we have two options, no? There's a wallet and there's a credit debit card. And depende sa pinipili mo na transaction, it will specify kung magkano yung dapat bayaran mo, no? So this is the amount, the original amount, the principal amount, and this is the charges, no? So pipili siya ng wallet or credit card. So they have an option to opt out. So yan yun. So let's say credit card, iba naman yung rate ni credit card pag credit card yung ginagamit. So yun, no? So proceed to payment, lalabas yan, specify ka lang ng card details mo. Example yan. This is the test site, no? So testing site lang to, hindi to live. So yan, pag complete mo yung order, so same pa rin, no? Just like Land Bank, babalik yan sa page natin. Yan. And then from here, so yan. Yan na yan, nalabas na yung OR. So if you notice, wala pong charges, no? Hindi mag-reflect yung charges sa electronic OR natin. Ang mag-appear lang dito is yung kuan mo lang, is yung principal amount lang. So this is a sample of how it looks like. Now same pa rin yung EOR niya, pero depende sa type of transaction. For example, this is a real property payment. So yung lalabas dito, para siyang 56, no? Yung mukha niya parang 56. Tapos meron siyang, yung kuha number, meron siya dyan. So, on the other hand, dito yung sa EOR na 51, no? Na parang, this is for the business payment. So, ito lalabas siya, ganyan. Tapos, makikita mo yung detalye dito sa payment to GCash, yung partner. Tapos ito yung transaction number, tapos yung transaction date. So parang ganun din, no? So it looks like 51. Okay, so now let's discuss ano po yung pagkakaiba. I'm comparing between a manual collection versus an e-payment collection sa context nito sa E-TRACS, no? Kasi ang important dito is yung paano natin ipaprocess yung mga collections natin from the e-payment. Okay, so to understand this, we have to check first paano natin ginawa yun sa manual na process, no? So, I'm comparing, no? So, if you're, para sa mga familiar with E-TRACS, you're familiar na after collection, meron tayong remittance, then liquidation and deposit, no? So, ganito how it looks like. So, from the collector, yung collector na nag-collect ng frontline collector, at the end of the day, i-forward niya yung collection niya, yung pera niya, tsaka yung report, no? Mag-generate siya ng remittance report, tapos yung cash, isama niya yon, and then forward this to the liquidating officer, no? So the liquidating officer will consolidate yung lahat ng mga collection from all the collectors para maka-generate siya ng one report, no? So from remittances from the collectors, they can generate one report containing all the collectors for that day, no? So yung report naman niya, naka-segregate na rin doon kung how much. Meron na tayong report doon by segregating the fund, no? Yung mga different funds like general fund, yung SCF, ganun. So na-segregate na natin yon through the system, no? Ang system na yung nag-segregate ng mga accounts natin, yung mga funds, yung totals doon. Now, yung design kasi sa E-TRACS is after after yung liquidation process mo, kasi yung liquidating officer parang nag-work as a check and balance, no? So after na ma-process successfully yung kuanya, yung liquidation, it will generate the reports, no? So that's why we did this, because gusto natin na i-perform talaga yung liquidation, no? I-perform talaga. So pag hindi i-perform to, wala kang reports makukuha sa E-TRACS, okay? So this is one way of enforcing na dapat participate talaga yung liquidating officer sa system, because if they do not do it, wala tayong reports makukuha from E-TRACS, okay? So that's why dito namin flag namin dito, no, na pag okay yung reports niya, maka-generate tayo ng reports. Now, ang trabaho naman ni cashier is it will look into the report together with the cash collected. Then it will generate a deposit slip doon sa different funds, no? Kasi yung isang collection might contain several funds, no? So dito, nag-specify na siya kung saan niya i-deposit, and then pwede siya mag-generate ng deposit slip from E-TRACS. Tapos i-perform niya yung deposit, no? And then to record also yung kuan niya, mag-generate din yung system ng report of deposits. Okay? So that's how it works in the manual process of collection in E-TRACS. Now let's compare this with e-payment. Okay? Ano po yung pagkakaiba? In the e-payment, wala na pong collector, no? Walang manual collector dito, walang tao in front. Ang ang collect natin dito in this case would be the payment partner. The payment partner na yung parang collecting agent natin dito, no? Now, the payment partner will deposit the amount at the next transaction day. So, normally yun, 10 o'clock yun the next day. For GCash and Paymaya, actually, i-deposit nila yon sa account na i-specify mo with them sa MOA, no? So, i-deposit nila yon. Sa case sa DBP and Land Bank, ganun din, but internal na kasi sa Land Bank, it will require you na dapat meron kayong account doon sa kanila. Same with DBP, no? So, parang ganun din yung concept niya na i-deposit nila yung payment collection nyo doon sa particular account. Now, it will also send a report, no? A report. So, meron tayong tawag na parang settlement officer. So, I don't exactly know anong dapat tawag natin dito. We have to ask, siguro, maybe we can talk with BLGF siguro to standardize the process. But as of the moment, ito muna yung term namin na tawag namin settlement officer, no? So, ang gagawin ng settlement officer, it will compare the report. It will compare the report with the transactions generated doon sa E-TRACS, no? So, parang i-reconcile niya yon, compare niya isa-isa yung mga transaction, and then it will generate a remittance report, no? So, this is done per payment partner. For example, Land Bank, separate yung report ng Land Bank, separate yung report ni GCash, Paymaya, at DBP. So, per partner po yung gagawin niya na report. Okay? Na dito sa report na gagawin niya, it will indicate yung na check na niya yung amounts, tama naman kasi it will be assisted by the system. And then, pag okay yun. Now, there are cases dito kasi sa report na nandito sa report nila pero hindi nag-reflect sa E-TRACS. Kaya may procedure kami doon na kailangan i-resolve niya yon sa system para to handle, para makuha yung commit yung transaction natin. Like I've said, since we are separated, since we'll be doing transactions over the internet, there are chances na may talagang error, but we have facilities to correct that, no? So, yun lang ang gagawin ng settlement officer. I-replay niya yung transaction so that it will be committed in the system. Now, after generating the report, ipo-forward niya yon sa cashier. Yung generated reports niya, meron na rin summary per fund, no? May generate siya ng summary per fund. So, just like yung sa liquidation process natin, mag-generate lang siya ng report of collection, tapos papasok sa income reports natin pag na-post niya yung report, no? Pag hindi niya i-perform to, walang lalabas sa report natin. So, parang ganun din. Same with dun sa manual collection natin. So, yung report forward niya sa cashier. Now, since in this case, wala nang cash na submit, ang report, ang cash kasi dito, nandito sa account natin kasi na-deposit na. So, walang cash na lalabas dyan. Ang gagawin ni cashier is it will do a fund transfer or any kind of mechanism, basta lang matransfer yung fund from the e-payment account, then it will deposit or i-fund transfer niya doon sa proper accounts natin, no? So parang ita-transfer niya yung amount doon sa ano ba tawag, no? Sa different funds, mga account natin. So that's why papasok na yung pera doon sa proper accounts niya. Okay? So ito pag ma-perform ito, mag-generate din ng report of deposit yung system. So basically, that is the difference between the manual process and the e-payment process. Both kailangan i-perform to, no? Because hindi po nagtatapos yung e-payment na maka-generate siya ng EOR. Magtatapos lang siya para pag yung pera talaga is properly recorded na to the proper accounts natin. Okay? So, ganun yan. So, let's tingnan natin yung settlement and reconciliation. No? So, ito po yung summary to recap done. So, this must be performed daily, no? Or if there are transactions, kasi there might be days na walang transaction. So, i-perform lang natin yon pag mayroon transactions. Ang gagawa nito is yung settlement officer. So, 10 a.m. The next day, usually yung schedule niyan. And then, yung reconciliation process is the process na mag-validate siya ng transaction report sent by the payment partner. So, parang kina-compare lang yung transaction ID and amount. So, pag wala doon, so if there's a mismatch, mag-perform siya ng resolve error transaction. So, parang i-click lang yun na button yun to correct the transaction, no? So, very simple lang yung process doon. Now, pag hindi niya ma-resolve yan, if it cannot corrected by resolve, yung step niya na gagawin is contact Rameses Help Desk kasi kami na yung mag-handle sa particular problem if meron talagang hindi niya ma-resolve. No? It's possible kasi na hindi successfully na-sent doon sa server namin. Pero hindi namin agad i-work on yan. Kailangan natin investigate muna ano nangyari. No? So parang ganon. Now, the EOR numbers must be in sequence, otherwise report will not proceed. So this will not be checked manually. Ang system na po yung nag-check. So the system will ensure that there will be no jump in numbers. So hindi na to manual ang system na po yung automatic na to sa system. I just let you know na kailangan yung mga numbers dito natin walang mag-jump, no? So dapat naka-sequence talaga. Okay? And then the EOR remittance, like I've said, is prepared per payment partner. So one payment partner isang remittance report. Okay? And then after approval, meaning natin na submit na niya yung EOR remittance na finalize niya yung report na yon, reports now can be generated. So maka-create na rin siya ng mga SRE, mga reports na normal just like yung sa manual process natin. Okay? So important dito is yung EOR remittance will generate summary by fund. So this is forwarded to the cashier. Ito yung instruction ni cashier kung how much to deposit to a particular fund. So, ang kailangan ng gagawin ni cashier must transfer the amounts to the proper funds. They can do it by fund transfer or pwede siyang mag-create ng deposit slip. Depende sa how she does it. But ang important dito is kailangan nila i-transfer yung amount to the proper funds. Okay? So, before maka-generate siya ng report of deposit. Okay? So, this is how it looks like, no? Doon sa system natin. So, maglalag in yung user. Yan. Tapos, if you notice dito, meron siyang parang indicator, yung red. So, pag may 3 dyan, ibig sabihin nun that there are 3 transactions. So, even if hindi ka pa pumasok sa system, ma-alert ka na agad na may mga transactions, no? So, this will prompt you to investigate na meron kang ipaprocess, no? Without still going inside. Okay? So, parang alert ka na agad. Now, pag-click mo dyan, you can see that meron na tayong 3 transactions na nandoon na sa EOR list, pero hindi pa natin siya, kasi matanggal to pag na-remit na natin. So in this case kasi, meron pa siyang parang pending na hindi pa natin na-remit. No? So next. So we'll investigate the list. So yung nakikita natin, we'll go to the unremitted. So ito yun, pending, hindi pa completed yung EOR. Yung unremitted, na-send na natin yung EOR pero hindi pa siya na-remit. Yung remitted, ito na rin talaga yung final. So we can also filter by partner dito. So if you filter ng partner yan, so ito pag na-filter mo yung example Paymaya, lahat ng mga EORs dito kay Paymaya lang. So if you notice, dapat yung number natin in sequence. No? If you can see here, 1, 2, 3, pero iba-ibang transaction. May BPLS, may RPT. Okay, so pero important dito is yung number natin dapat in sequence. Okay? And then, yan. So makikita mo, you can investigate ano talaga yung particular. So this will specify the details. Makikita mo. Yan, Paymaya. Ito yung trace number niya, yung trace date, kailan, order number. Ito yung original transaction natin. Tapos yan. Okay? So dito yung details sa payment. Makikita mo yan. And then yung email tsaka mobile number ng fund. So you can also view the printout. In case na gusto siya magpa-send ulit kasi nawala yung email niya, you can do so by sending the email again. So yun. Yan. Okay. So pwede yan gawin, no? Now, i-close muna natin yan. Tapos, pwede na siya mag-prepare na remittance. In the prepare remittance, click lang yung prepare remittance transaction. And then here, specify the particular partner. Tapos, dito, yung lahat ng mga resibo, pag once ma-select mo na yung partner dyan, yung lahat ng mga resibo na collect for that particular partner, yung lahat ng mga collections niya, lalabas dito, no? And then, if merong mga transactions na unresolved or meron siyang order payment pero hindi lang siya na-process, so dito yun na-tab. So, ipakita natin yan. So, pag-click niya ng partner dyan, example, select siya, lalabas dito, may mga transactions, okay? Now, if you want to check also, if pagtingin mo sa report na binigay ni Paymaya, for example, merong extra report doon na hindi lumabas sa kuha natin, sa EOR natin. So what it does is you go to the unresolved payment orders, i-select niya, pag nakita mo may kulang, so go to the unresolved payment orders, so makikita mo, ito yung mga other transactions na meron siyang na-check out siya, meron siyang order payment, pero hindi nag-succeed yung transaction. So like I've said, it's possible na pag-generate na yun, hindi siya naka-generate ng UR kasi hindi naka-communicate yung server. And this happens a lot, no? So, ang gagawin mo lang is i-click mo lang yung resolve button. So, simple lang, i-click mo lang yung resolve button. Pag-click mo to resolve button, siya na yung mag-resolve niyan. So, in this case, for example, I select yan ang transaction ko. So, i-click mo lang yung resolve. System na yung mag-make sure. So, system na yung mag-do the hard stop dito. No? I-verify na yun from the server. Parang gano'n. So, for example, pag-click mo ng resolve tapos hindi connected yung internet mo, mag-error din siya, di ba? So, hindi talaga ma-resolve yun. It needs an internet connection dito. Okay, so click start. Yun lang yung gagawin mo. Click start lang. Siya nang maghanap. Okay. Siya na rin yung mag-replay sa transaction hanggang ma-email yun sa applicant, sa payer. So once ma-okay na yan, i-kuhan mo lang, i-refresh mo lang. Wala pa kasi siyang refresh. So see, nag-add na siya ng additional. Nag-add na. So 4 na kasi yung isa na-resolve natin. So i-check mo lang yan kasi lahat accounted for na sa report natin. Specify the remittance date and then click submit. Okay? Pag-click mo ng submit dyan, after clicking the submit, it will summarize your fund. So if you notice here, makikita mo na yung by fund, no? So ito dapat i-deposit natin sa ECF, ito dapat for general proper. Example, ito may collection tayo sa barangay, sa GF basic, ganun. So yun po yung kuha niya. Ito po yung summary by fund na yung ginawa natin sa system. So next, tuloy-tuloy mo lang yan. Yan. And then, i-submit mo na to for the cashier. No? So, ang gagawin lang, i-select lang niya yung particular bank, ano yung bank niya dapat i-assign. So, yan. So, these are the banks na gusto niya i-deposit yung amount niya. Ang ganun. Okay. Select lang niya yan. Tapos, parang ganun lang yung process, no? Yan. Okay. So, ikumpleto ko lang. Yan. Select lang niya. Ano ba? Tapos, pag na-fund transfer na niya yun, kailangan siya ng validation number, no? So, parang transaction number sa validation. Or, in the case, kung i-deposit niya yung validation key doon, no? Sa deposit. Yun. Parang ganun lang. Parang ganun lang yung process, no? Okay. 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 So, pagkatapos niyan, ipopost lang niya yan. Tapos, yun, completed na yun. So, that's about it. Ganun lang kasimple. And then, you can generate the reports already, no? So, you can have the report by fund, yan lang. And then, yun po yung reports by fund. Meron ka rin kung ano. So, yung detail reports, ganun. Yan. Okay. Okay, so by item account. So anyway, nandiyan lang yung mga reports. Basically, same reports doon sa kuha natin. Sa, ano ba yun? Yung sa manual reports natin. Sa iba, no? So parang ganun lang din. Okay, so basically ganun lang. Sila natin. And then, yun. So basically, ganun lang. Okay? So, we need to perform this. So, let's now talk about how can we implement paano natin, let's say you decide na okay sa inyo yung presentation natin, gusto mo na rin mag-implement. So, anong kailangan nyo gawin? Okay? So, ito po yung tawag natin na onboarding procedure. How do we, paano natin i-process yung kuha natin if you want to apply for the e-payment? No? So, ganun lang. First is, check mo na if ready ba yung system mo. So, before tayo makipag-usap sa mga payment partners, we have to ensure na yung system, yung e-TRACS system mo is ready na for the e-payment. No? Kasi yung lumang version namin sa e-TRACS, yung previous versions, hindi pa yun po ready. Kailangan kayo mag-upgrade. I will talk to you anong requirements dito sa next slide dito. No? So, kailangan i-ready nyo muna yung system before tayo makaproceed. Ang next natin is initial meeting and presentation with the payment partner. So, this is ito yung gagawin natin sa we will meet with the different payment partners sa hapon. No? So, in this afternoon session, ma-meet niyo yung mga payment partners natin. So, basically, yun rin yung initial meeting and presentation. But if you want, pwede rin na mag-schedule kayo ulit for one-on-one meeting talaga sa kanila. So, we'll be providing you contact information with them, no? Para kayo na lang makipag-usap sa kanila. And then this will specify ano yung steps like yung mga MOA, ganun. Now, once yung MOA makita nyo na, you will have this approved by the sanggunian, no? Yung MOA nyo. And then, pag na-approve na yan, it will undergo a testing. So, bali, testing with a particular merchant, ite-test natin yun para it is part of their procedure, no? But in our case, hindi na ganun tagal because we've already tested this. But we still need to perform this for formality purposes, no? So, once okay na yung testing nyo, it will undergo production. So, may test lang tayo siguro, kahit isang transaction lang na bayaran natin in real time na i-perform natin yon. Pag okay na yon, then it is now ready for launching. Now, maganda rin kasi mag-practice tayo na may launching talaga para we will let your constituents know na mayroon na tayong ganito na service. So, that's why maganda rin na may formal launching talaga. Okay? So, ito po yung readiness sa checklist natin. Ano po yung kailangan natin titingnan? First, kailangan ongoing member kayo sa e-TRACS facility natin. So, the LGU must be a member of e-TRACS Sustainability Program. So if nagamit kayo ng e-payment ngayon, tapos next year ayaw nyo nang mag-member sa amin, di matanggal din yung facility sa e-payment. Okay? So kailangan active member ka talaga kasi connected yun sa internet. Okay? So the reason nakakonect ka sa internet is because you are a member. Yung next is dapat yung version nyo sa e-TRACS must be version 2.55. And hindi lang yun, dapat Docker version talaga. No? So, meron kaming binigay na requirements. Like, for example, yung server natin, dapat at least 32 gigabytes of memory yun with the appropriate processing power doon. Tapos, installan kasi natin ng Docker yun. No? So, bakit Docker? Because ang objective natin is gagawa tayo ng parang local cloud server sa inyo. No? So, kailangan ito na naka-Docker talaga because we have many facilities na i-implement sa inyo like yung sa emailing natin, yung mga notifications, kailangan natin i-set up doon sa server. And it's very difficult if hindi tayo mag-Docker. Kaya nga, ni-require talaga namin na mag-Docker tayo so that madali din pag-update sa mga versions. Next, kailangan kayo ng sufficient and dedicated internet connection. So, you don't need malaking internet dito. You just need yung parang lang entry level lang na application. Depende naman yun sa number of transactions. You know? So, you can start off with something small like yung regular lang na DSL. No? Basta ang keyword dito is huwag lang i-share sa other internet kuha ninyo. Like, yung normal internet nyo kasi nag-YouTube kayo, nag-Facebook. So, wag yun kasi maka-disrupt yun sa transaction natin. Dapat dedicated. No matter how small, basta dedicated lang siya. Okay? So, pag dadami na yung transaction nyo in the future, pwede nyo i-upgrade yun to mas bigger broadband. Pero, ang suggestion ko, kasi hindi naman ganun kalaki yung requirements namin, at least, naka-connect lang kayo. May connection lang. Kahit maliit. Okay? So, the next is, kailangan meron ka ring transaction sa e-TRACS, no? Kailangan either nagamit ka in any of these modules. You're using the RPT module, you're using the BPLS, or you're using the one-stop shop for construction permits or yung water na this particular version sa water. Pwede yun. If yung ginamit mo lang yung e-TRACS for collection purposes lang, treasury lang, wala pa siyang transactions as of this time, no? Na mga online. So, dapat nag-run kayo kasi as of this moment, ito lang yung mga supported namin for e-payment na transactions. And next, kailangan kayo mag-onboard ng kahit isang payment partner. No? You just choose any payment partner there. Basta maka-onboard lang kayo kahit isa, pwede na yun. So, yun. So, let's tingnan natin yung, at this point, yun lang, no? Yun lang yung discussion natin. At least napakita ko na din internally how our system works. And then I also specified kung how to onboard partners. And this will be followed this afternoon by yung mga payment partner natin presentation nila. So at this moment, let's take a look at yung sa Tagbilaran City, no, how they are doing this. So ito po yung parang testimony sa Tagbilaran City.
Maayong buntag. I am Mary Christine Butoy, the Acting City Treasurer of the City of Peace and Friendship, Tagbilaran. We have been in partnership with Rameses for many years now, and it is a great pride that we are among the first LGUs, especially here in Region 7, able to adapt to the online payment platform provided to us through the E-TRACS. We officially inked this partnership with Rameses together with our authorized government depository banks, the DBP and Land Bank, last August of 2018. This was made possible due to the technical assistance of ePeso through the USAID Surge project. It is undeniable how this has greatly helped our collection efforts, especially at this time of the pandemic. Admittedly, our taxpayers were hesitant to pay their local taxes before COVID happened through our online platform. It is not very popular among the paying public. But it has drastically changed this year because the taxpayers saw this as an opportunity to make contactless payments. The shifting times and demands require us to broaden our coverage, now includes GCash and PayMaya as additional payment options. These initiatives promoted virtual payments even for those with no bank accounts, making payments as easy as few clicks away for all Tagbilaranos. Our online payments include business taxes and related fees and charges, real property taxes, and water payments. I would say that our partnership with Rameses has been great and satisfying. We have experienced it ourselves firsthand. The flexibility and accessibility has aided us in solving system problems to innovations just like the online payments. From all of us here in CTO Tagbilaran, we hope to see other LGUs learn from this webinar and also adapt to the online payment platforms. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
So at this point, we'll be handling some questions, and we'll try our best to answer it.
So we have here several questions. One is, how much is the annual fee for the E-TRACS sustainability program?
Okay, so E-TRACS as of the moment, ang fee po natin, annual fee natin is 95,000 per year po 'yan, no? So that's hindi po siya per month, 95,000 per year. However, since we continuously upgrade kasi yung structuring kasi namin sa membership is every 50 members mag-increase kami, no? So since ngayon, yung sa 95,000 na slot kuha na yun, parang malapit na maubos yun. So the next would be 120,000. So siguro sa inyo na lang, a safer amount yung kuha natin is the 120,000 po yung fee natin. A year po. So that's basically just around, basically just 10,000 a month po yan. Okay, next question.
We have several questions from Puerto Princesa City. An E-TRACS sustainability program member.
Okay.
We have one, pwede ba na magawan na ng Rameses ng mga respective accounts, na kung saan dapat pumunta ang collections? Example, pag nag-pay ng RPT, at automatic na pumasok sa sharing ng basic at SEF.
Okay, so like I presented in the presentation, we cannot yet determine, no, during transaction. Yung process na yun will be done during the remittance and reconciliation process po yun. Yung settlement and reconciliation. That's the only time that we will know how much to deposit for each account. Hindi pa siya real time, no? Because we still need to validate per transaction basis. Okay, next.
Next question. Same question goes to general collections like paying business taxes and also construction permitting and also BFP collection. Pwede ba nila magawa na pag online pay ni taxpayer, magdiretso na sa kanya-kanyang respective accounts? May mga trust funds po kasi sa building at occupancy.
Okay, so that's the same, basically the same with the previous question. So like I've said, hindi natin, that will be done during the reconciliation and the settlement process, no? Not on a per transaction basis. Next.
Next question. Meron na ba LGU na gumagamit ng E-TRACS then kasama sa payment channels nila na nakaride sa land bank ang GCash at PayMaya? May separate ba silang contract agreement between Rameses at GCash or PayMaya, or only between city government and GCash or PayMaya?
Well, depends, no? Kung diretso yun, example sa land, with our partnership in land bank, si land bank kasi meron din siyang GCash, PayMaya doon sa website niya, no? But yung kuha natin, yung MOA is between LGU and land bank lang, and with us, no, kasi tripartite yun. So whoever i-onboard ni land bank doon sa side nila, hindi na natin concern yun. Ang concern lang natin is si land bank lang. So what will appear in our transactions is land bank payment lang. So if nagbabayad ka nagbabayad ka tapos nag-pay through ka land bank, pero ang ginamit ng applicant after pagpasok niya sa land bank na page is like, for example, a 7-Eleven or nag-GCash siya doon sa side ng land bank, sa piningin natin sa LGU, land bank pa rin yun. Hindi na natin concern yun whatever additional channels yung ginawa niya doon. Basta sa atin is ang accountable lang si land bank lang yung balik, regardless of anong type of payment sa side niya. In the case of GCash and Paymaya, hindi po siya tripartite agreement. It will be between LGU and and GCash and Paymaya, no? So, bale, mas simpler yun kasi hindi na kami kasama doon sa nila. We have an agreement na kasi with GCash and Paymaya sa side nila. So, we don't need to participate in the MOA with GCash and Paymaya. Okay. So, parang ganun lang.
So the next question is related to the previous question. Meron na ba LGU na gumagamit ng E-TRACS dan kasama sa payment channels nila na nakaride sa land bank ang mga bayad centers or remittance centers like Palawan Pawn Shop, LBC, Luwilier, To Go, etc. May separate ba silang contract between Rameses at bayad centers or only between city government and bayad centers or LBP and bayad centers?
Sa ngayon, ang partner lang natin, available natin na you can directly, may direct MOA sa atin is yung 4 lang na partners as of the moment. We have the Land Bank, DBP, GCash, and Paymaya. For all the other payment partners, it may go through different yung sa mga channels nila, but sa atin ngayon, ang mag-MOA lang tayo, whoever lang na may direct integration with E-TRACS, which is yung 4 lang as of this time. Next.
Okay, next question. May reconciliation window or options ba between Rameses and LBP or Rameses and CGPP? Baka magkaroon ng issues or conflict in the future. Kung meron, paano ang procedures?
Okay, so like I presented, the land bank will send yung payment partner mag-send ng report sa inyo at the next day for purposes of reconciliation. Yung reconciliation, you can check it doon sa E-TRACS, no? May facility tayo doon. Tapos actually kino-compare din yon ng system. Although hindi niyo na makita yon, pero it is compared by the system doon din sa Filipizen. So it's a three-way parang kino-compare din niya doon sa system natin kung tama ba talaga. So parang yung Filipizen parang nag-act siya as a parang ano ba tawag nan? Parang may additional na check and balance sa side niya. Okay. Next.
Next question. May bayad po ba ang electronic payment kahit member na po ang LGU?
Wala pong bayad yung electronic payment na facility. So this is no additional cost po ito sa LGU. Ang kuan dito lang is meron lang babayaran yung transacting public, no? May tawag natin na convenience fees lang. Pero sa side sa LGU wala talaga silang bayad. This is a facility that beneficial to members lang din sa E-TRACS. Pero walang additional po, hindi kayo magbabayad. The moment you sign up with us or you agree with our MOA, yun lang ang terms doon, may convenience fee lang, yun lang talaga. But sa side ninyo, wala kayong extra babayaran. There's no need for other fees talaga, no. Maybe sa training lang siguro, but hindi naman kailangan ng masyadong training ito, no. But in terms of operation purposes, walang additional fee.
Okay. Yung next, several questions ito from another LGU member. What are the steps, processes in applying the online payment of clients through various platforms? COA documentary requirements issued to other cities. Sample resolutions and ordinances about the online platform. MOA sample to GCash, etc. Common problem encountered on online payments. Can the municipality still utilize its ORs bought from the National Printing
Office, NPO, and National Printing Office.
Office to walk-in clients? Should the EOR for online payments only? What are the legal requirements for the availment, issuance of the EOR? And sample IRR of cities who implemented the online digital payment scheme, which is being required by their COA.
Okay, so actually I've already presented ano po yung mga legal basis dito. Supported naman yun. I have a ton of it, no? But ang suggestion ko sa inyo is maybe you can talk with the successful LGU partners that we have. Especially, you can talk to Tagbilaran City and then mag-share, pwede kayong mag-kuhan doon. Ask them how they do it, how they did it, and then how they were able to napasado yun sa COA nila. Anyway, pero may legal basis naman to, hindi naman to without legal basis. In terms regarding doon sa yung stubs ninyo na bili sa National Printing Office, with online payment, hindi na po magagamit yon kasi we have the EOR. So for online mga payments coming through our system sa online, EOR po yung doon, yung i-generate natin. So yung mga stubs niyo from National Printing Office, that is only used for manual collection. Okay? So hindi po siya magagamit sa online collection. So my suggestion, medyo mahaba yung question. Ang suggestion ko is magkuhan kayo ng studies siguro with other LGUs na nag-implement. So we have if you're from Bicol area, we have Legazpi City and Ligao. If you're dito ka sa Visayas region, we have Tagbilaran City. Dito naman sa other end, we have Puerto Princesa. Kung Mindanao ka, we have Jensan and Nabunturan there on the side. By the way, sa Visayas pala, we have also Ubay, Bohol, no, who's also implemented this. So as of the moment, we have 7 LGUs na nag-running na. So meron din kami mga ongoing na mga LGUs na nasa process na of have their MOA approved by their sanggunian. So hindi po kayo nag-iisa dito, no? You have precedents. So you can ask them paano nila ginawa yan. Okay, next.
The next one is not a question, but more of a comment or remark. We have different bank accounts for different funds.
Okay, so basically parang ganun, pinakita ko na sa presentation ko na yung suggestion ko kasi yung e-payment na account niyo should in my view mas maganda kung hindi siya existing account niyo. Parang separate account talaga siya. Parang zero balance yun ba eventually ba na parang clearing lang siya na yung papasok doon is basically for e-payment only. Hindi pa siya yung final destination. Dapat yung final destination sa mga transaction natin would be another account. So bali ita-transfer natin yung amounts doon. Kasi if you choose, let's say for example, yung i-nominate nyo na account for e-payment is an existing account, like example, general fund, baka malito tayo because papasok lahat doon, di ba? Tapos ita-transfer lang natin yung mga hindi general fund. So that's only for me, no? Kung meron kayong, kung comfortable kayo sa ganun setup, di okay lang din. I understand naman na hindi ganun kadali mag-open ng accounts, no? But maybe kailangan tayo magkuhan nito. Kasi this is kasi dati wala tayong ganito kasi ngayon lang tayo nagka-e-payment. But you can have one account lang that will already cover for all the different partners. Example, mayroon kayong
apat na partners, apat na payment partners, pwede doon na lang na account i-deposit. Anyway, yun lang naman yung purpose niya eh. You don't need to open separate account para GCash, separate account para Pimaya. Hindi naman kailangan ganun. Ang kailangan lang natin is isang account lang na ang main purpose lang is lahat ng mga e-payment collection natin, papasok dyan. Ganun lang naman yun. Oo. Sige, next.
Next one. How long would it take for an LGU, which is already an E-TRACS user, to activate the e-payment feature of E-TRACS? Real property tax lang po muna target ng LGU namin for pilot implementation.
Okay, so first is kailangan running yung real property payment nyo. Kung hindi running yun, then hindi pa kayo makasimula. Kailangan you're using the e-payment as of the moment. Kasi you're using RPT payment as of the moment. Kasi yung online facility parang add-on lang yan siya eh. Kailangan nag-running yung RPT payment nyo. Now, if you have done that already, kailangan natin upgrade lang yan. I've already mentioned yung sa implementation phase sa presentation natin. Siguro ang matagal dito is yung pag-approve sa sanggunian, no? Kasi it will take in my experience, mag-take to ng mga several weeks or even months siguro sa pag-approve lang sa sanggunian. Once ma-approve naman yan sa sanggunian, it will not take that long para ma-activate niyo. So, bale, ang makapatagalan talaga dito is yung approval sa sanggunian. Yan.
Okay. Next question. Hindi na po ba magamit ang AF51 at AF56?
Hindi na. Pag dadaan ng e-payment. Next.
Next. May bayad po ba kung mag-avail ng Waterworks and CTC plugins?
Yes, of course. Kasi separate module yun. So anyway, like one-time payment lang naman yun. So you just pay that particular module at one time. All the updates, hindi naman kayo kailangan magkuhan yan. And then, lahat ng mga modules natin, meron na siyang e-payment counterpart. Example, kukuha ka ng water, without additional kuhan, kasama na yung pag meron siyang online payment na rin. No? So, depende rin sa module yun. But normally, ganun yung arrangement namin na if you pay the full price of a particular module, listed price, I mean, if you pay the full listed price sa particular module namin, kasama na rin yung e-payment dun. Okay, next.
Next. Meron na bang client ang Rameses na kasama pati mga civil registry, collections, or market and other economic enterprises of the city?
As of the moment, wala pa kaming module sa civil registry, no? Because I understand kasi may existing system doon, but I'm not so sure. Siguro we can do it if may mag-request, no? Sa economic enterprise, ang na-activate namin for e-payment pa is yung sa water pa as of this moment. Yung market, ginagawa pa namin na meron siyang e-payment facility sa pagbayad ng rental fees.
Next. Regarding po sa RPT, included na po ba sa report yung distribution ng shares ng barangay sa collection?
Kung ano yun, basic one po yun. Basic feature po ng RPT yun. Kasama po. Next.
Tapos nyo na ba automation ng delinquent real property auction sale procedures?
You have to contact yung kuha namin dyan, yung specialist namin dyan, si Jessie, regarding sa real property. Kasi siya nakakalam. Hindi ko pa alam kung saan na phase yun, basta I understand meron na yun na module. Hindi ko lang alam kung saan na phase yun. So you have to talk to him. Next.
Ano pong ORs ang i-attach sa RCD report pag e-payment?
If you want, you can print the EOR. May print naman yun doon sa facility, no? Kung gusto niyo i-print yun as a supporting document, then you can do so. Printed from the system po. Next.
During the issuance of business permit, how do we know if the taxpayer is paid or if the taxpayer paid, sorry? Do they attach the EOR?
Automatic na po yun doon sa system. Makikita nyo na if nagbayad siya through EOR, like yung if you're familiar doon sa system natin, if nagbabayad, di ba, nagta-transfer yung document from payment to release, di ba? Automatic yun. So, ganun din yung system. Ganun din yung sa e-payment. If successful yung payment mo sa business, it will automatically move your application from payment to release. Tapos makikita mo doon na ang payment would be the EOR. Ganun. So you can see it in the system na ganun yung gagawin niya. Next.
May we know, aside from LGU Tagbilaran, what other LGUs implemented or in the process of implementation of the e-payment scheme from Bayawan City?
Okay, so I've already mentioned kanina. So we have at this moment 7 pa na active e-payment LGUs. No? So aside from Tagbilaran, we have Legazpi City, we have Puerto Princesa City, we have General Santos City, we have Ligao City, we have Nabunturan, and we have Ubay. And before I forget, we also have Iriga, no? Who just implemented it recently. 8 na pala. Yes. Next.
The next question is addressed to the BLGF Regional Director, but maybe you can answer this. Are all e-payment partners of E-TRACS duly registered with the SEC?
E-payment partners. Hindi po kailangan, normally, SEC talaga yan kasi mga companies yan eh, no? Like, yung sa GCash and Paymaya. So I'm sure registered yun. But the most important thing is dapat they have the necessary certification or whatever yung permission from the BSP. Yun po yung keyword dyan, no? Na dapat allowed sila by BSP. In the case of Paymaya and GCash, they are money issuers. In the case of Land Bank and DBP, government banks po yun. So, natural lang na dapat may kuan talaga sila, no? Otherwise, hindi rin pwede na we can onboard kahit sinong partner dito. We have also to scrutinize kung sino yung i-onboard natin dito sa E-TRACS. In this case, since GCash and Paymaya are very popular na kuan, so kuan naman yan sila. Meron naman silang necessary license doon to do this, no, as a financial or what they call a fintech po yan. Fintech companies po sila. Okay, next.
Next, saan po pwede makakuha ng quotation software para sa market, franchising, and building permits po?
You just contact or you can just contact our office, no? So dito. So you can ask for our listed prices for those modules.
Next. Doon po sa annual na 75,000, this LGU is still paying 75,000 kasi yung iba higher na yung rates. Okay, doon po sa annual membership fee, kasali na ba CTC plug-in maintenance if ever mag-avail kami sa CTC, or may add-on pa yung annual membership fee?
Wala nang add-on sa membership fee. All you need to do is pay the plug-in. One-time payment lang yon. So, lahat na mga updates niya, if may example, may changes kami sa E-TRACS, i-update namin yon. Naturally, update din namin yung mga modules na yon. Wala pong extra payment yon. One-time payment lang yon sa mga modules. Next.
Sa ibang nag-e-payment ngayon, pwede ba malaman kung anong ina-attach nila sa RCD na i-forward sa accounting office?
Right now, I don't really know ano yung mga practice nila doon sa loob. Maybe you can ask, no? Siguro sa Tagbilaran City siguro because they have practiced this and then pino-perform nila yung remittance natin na reports. So maybe they are the best na tanongin natin dyan. Mag-study tour na lang kayo doon sa kuan nila, sa LGU nila.
magkano ba ang membership sa sustainability program? Is it a one-time payment or recurring every year? Also, may additional na babayaran ba si taxpayer pag nagbayad na online?
Yung kuha natin, annual fee po yun, recurring yun annually, no? Hindi siya one time yung membership fee natin. Yung sustainability fee natin or yung subscription fee natin yun. That is an annual basis. Pero once whatever amount na you start with, yun na po yung amount niyo. Example, you started with 95,000, hanggang gano'n na, 95,000 na yung babayaran niyo, no? So, but that is an annual recurring fee sa inyo. Now, in terms of the online payment, wala kayong additional fee sa LGU yun, but yes, like you said, meron pong convenience fee on top of that on a per transaction basis.
Next. Sorry. Pag may nagbayad online, yung OR po ba na niya is automatic na mag-generate dun sa hawak na collector? For example, meron siyang OR na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 din, may nagbayad online, paano ang actual receipt ng collector?
Like I mentioned, wala na pong collector dito, no? Wala kasi wala tayong resibo na hahawakan dito. It will be generated by the system. So, wala na pong responsible na collector dito sa system natin. Kasi automated yun na. Wala tong personal collector na walang tao dito ba sa system. System lahat to.
Next.
Siguro we'll have one more question na lang siguro para we can wrap this up.
Okay. Dalawang questions na lang, sir.
Okay.
Ay, actually, tatlo ito.
Sige.
Pero very short, lang. Sorry. May nagbayad online. Okay. Ito na pala. Member na po kami pero di pa naka-docker. Magkano po bayad, sir?
Wala po. Kailangan lang kayo mag-upgrade or secure the necessary hardware requirements. I-upgrade namin kayo. Tapos, ang kuha lang dito is schedule lang natin, no? Kasi medyo heavy yung load namin. So, you need to schedule kung kailan yun pwede i-upgrade yung system ninyo. Okay, next.
Okay, next. This is the last but not the least. Anong LGU po ang nagamit ng E-TRACS dito banda sa amin sa Misamis Occidental or Northern Mindanao?
Ay, marami po dyan, no? We have yung sa Llano del Norte, maraming LGUs doon na gumagamit. We have
Misamis, near Misamis, yeah.
Northern Mindanao man kaya.
Northern Mindanao.
Oroqueta, we have Oroqueta, and then I think yung province din siguro.
Iligan.
Yeah, we have Iligan, and then basta dyan
Lanao del Norte.
Lanao del Norte nga. Okay, so we have those LGUs dyan. So Oroqueta, we also have Oroqueta. And I think yung province of Misamis pa, sino pa yung member natin dyan? Basta we have several dyan, pwede yan, dyan na area.
Yeah, so those are the questions lahat, sir.
Okay, so with that, thank you sa pag-attend natin sa morning session. We still have a session in the afternoon, yung presentation with our payment partner. So mag-resume lang tayo sa 1 o'clock. Okay, so with that, thank you, and we'll wrap this up. And good morning. Mag-kuhan muna tayo, mag-picture, and then we'll end this, resume in the afternoon session na po. So, thank you.